Yigamel means to what's the word? To come off. To wean, right. So I wrote to a Rabbi Klein. Rabbi Chaim Reuven Klein is an expert on these subjects. He wrote a book called Lashon HaKodesh, which is an English book. And he has a thing he gives out once a week on the internet on synonyms in the parasha. Every week a synonym in the parasha. Why are there two words in Hebrew for the same thing? Well, how do these words connect? So I wrote to him, asked him, what's the connection? He says, look at my article on this thing, which is a link to something where he wrote about camels and exactly the whole thing. But I printed it out, but I haven't had a chance to read it. So I printed it out, so I have to wait till next time. It's upstairs somewhere, I think. Okay, so we'll carry on. Shmuel Aleph, chapter Aleph, towards the end of the chapter. So Hannah has a baby now. Who wrote in this one? Okay. Someone wrote very neat writing in here.
That's me.
It's you? Yeah, very neat. It's only giving yours, so you can carry on. You can write your name on it, that way you'll know it's yours.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we said that Hannah didn't want to go with her husband because she wanted to wait until her son was weaned, which she did. And when he was weaned, which presumably means he was at the age of 2, she went up with him to the Mishkan in Shiloh. That is on page 5. This is the baby she's been waiting for years. She prayed for this baby, and she now has a baby called Shmuel, who this book is named after. Who, in fact, according to our tradition, he was actually the author of the book as well. He published this book. He authored it when he was older, obviously. So she took him up, and she went with 3 bulls. They were going to be sacrifices, thank you sacrifices to God. Presumably, she would then take the meat and share it amongst all the people in Shiloh, because there's a very fascinating thing about sacrifices. They all have a limit on how long you have to eat them. Some before sunrise, some you get an extra day. A thank you offering has got a much shorter time. You only got the day that it's sacrificed and the next following night. After that, it becomes you're not allowed to eat it. You're also not allowed to leave it over, which means you have to try your best to have it all consumed. And the only way to do that, if it's a big animal, is to invite lots of friends and guests to join in your party. And that way, hopefully, then you'll be able to give a speech about your years childless and what you went through, which will inspire other people, encourage other people to pray to God and be grateful. And that's the idea. So that's why the Torah limits the time you can eat it, in order that forces you, so to speak, to invite other people there to eat from it. Okay, so that she's also bringing a big flour offering, which is then turned into bread or into cake, whatever it is. And also a cask, I don't know how big it was, of wine. Presumably it's quite big, because it has to, there's no point in a little bottle of wine when you're inviting 100 people. I presume it's quite big, but I don't know how big. We have Vativiyehu, Pasuk Chav Dalet, towards the end of the Pasuk. Vativiyehu, and she brought it, meaning all this stuff, Beis Hashem, to the house of God, Shiloh, to the town of Shiloh. Now, those who've got their eyes open will notice this is an unusual way of spelling Shiloh. The town Shiloh, we've had it once beforehand, on page 3, on line 6. 2, 4, 5. Line 5. Lizboach LaHashem tzvakot b'Shiloh. Got it? That's how it's usually spelled. Shin Lamed Hey. Now, it makes no difference in the pronunciation. You pronounce exactly the same whether you write a Hey there with a dot on top, or you have a Vav there with a dot on top. It's pronounced exactly the same. It's not usually spelled with a Yud, although that's how it's spelled today. Today, the name Shiloh is spelled Shin Yud Lamed Hey, but that's not what it's usually spelled. It's spelled either Shin Lamed Hey or Shin Lamed Vav. So, without getting into Kabbalistic suggestions, we'll just leave it that the observation. Okay?
Yeah, what spot are we on?
Here. We're on here. Page Pasuk Chav Dalet.
Yeah.
The second line of that verse, it says, Vativiyeh, the line starts with the word Yayin.
Yeah.
Vativiyeh, which she brought in Beis Hashem Shiloh, Shin Lamed Vav.
What are the Kabbalists?
Right, Pasuk Chav Dalet. Right,
the
end of that, the third to last word of the pasuk says Shiloh. Shiloh. It's the name of a place. It's where the Mishkan.
I did the same thing.
Yes. What did you do?
We looked at the Zion.
The Zion looks like a David in the font a little bit. Sorry, I'm wrong.
Third line.
I get you. Okay. So Shiloh, I might point out, it's usually spelled Shin Lamed Hey. It's the name of the town where the Mishkan was.
How do we know this is talking to the town? Like, why would they spell it differently?
I don't know, it's a good question. But we know where the temple was. But it says she brought it to the house of God. And here it says the house of God, where was it? Same thing. The man brought his temple to bow down to God in Shiloh. So, presumably it's the same place.
No, right. If it's not using the same writing, it's probably not referring to the place. It's
What?
Could we talk about something else completely?
It could be, but what were you suggesting?
I don't know.
Okay, so it has to be something suggested that makes sense, right? So maybe it's a different place, but that's wild.
So I'm not even saying a different place. I mean, meaning something completely
Yeah,
different.
but yes, but that's a guess. But the guess is not helpful unless it leads me down a suggestion somewhere. What are you suggesting? That is okay. So you haven't helped me yet, right? You just pointed out that there's something going on over here.
Yeah.
So the question is how how ridiculous is this something, right? The simple assumption is that it's the same place. It's read the same, which means it sounds the same. Shiloh, okay? It's the house of God, which was in Shiloh. So it sounds the same, but for some reason they've changed the spelling. More than to suggest it's actually, so some suggest, right? I know, because there's other places where you'll see this. Every time it changes, you have to know. Sometimes you even have it in the same pasuk, with Shiloh twice, once with a, once with a vav. So some suggest one is the town of Shiloh, and one is the area in Shiloh where the Mishkan was. Just like you say Yerushalayim. Though I live in Yerushalayim, although some people claim you don't live in Yerushalayim, you live in Ramat. Yes, it takes 2 hours to walk from my house to here, but it's still Yerushalayim. It's still in the municipal. I still pay my municipal taxes to the same place as they do here, right? My phone number is still 02. Yes, but the guys in give I'd say their phone number is also 02. And no one considers that part of Yerushalayim. You know, they keep Purim on the 14th, and we keep Purim on the 15th. So the definition of the boundaries of a city may vary. So possibly, but it's problematic because they're both going to the Mishkan. Both of these psukim in the Mishkan was in the same place, right? I know that's been a suggestion, that the Shiloh with a Hey is the town, Shiloh with a Vav is the area where the Mishkan was. You still have to know why you would change the spelling just because it's a different area, okay? So my Kabbalistic suggestion, right? Not that I know very much about Kabbalah, but I know that the letter Vav is meant to be symbolic of the spine, which is the shape of a Vav. Okay? Spine is just a long thing. And the spine indicates the connection between the brain and the rest of the body, which is what the spine does. Everything is conveyed from the brain through all the parts of the body, through the spine. So the spine is the medium, the conduit of inspiration, force, everything comes through that. So the same thing, the spiritual conduit for the energy of God, it comes through the Vav, the letter Vav. So if you have in God's name, you have the Yud, which is the brain, the source of everything, and the Vav is the way it comes down, trickles down through from God to his creations and everything else. So possibly when you're talking about a city, you want to talk about it with a Hey. When you're talking about the spiritual aspect of that city, so you refer to it with a Vav because that's like the spiritual connection. It's a connecting letter, connects upper worlds with lower worlds, possibly, maybe, whatever. It doesn't seem to always work out, but it could be denoting some spiritual aspect of. Now here we're talking about taking Shmuel to this place and initiating him in the spiritual ceremonies of the temple. So maybe that's why he wants to stress that. But I don't know. I just a guess. You have to see it as it plays out, all the different places, why sometimes with a Vav, sometimes with a Hey. By the way, Shiloh is also the name of Mashiach. In the book of Bereshis, when Yaakov gives a bracha to Yehuda, just before Yaakov dies, he gives a blessing to all his 12 sons, and the blessing to Yehuda is that dominion shall remain in Judah until Shiloh comes. That's what it says. Ad ki yavo Shiloh, until Shiloh will come.
With a Hey with a Vav.
I think it's spelled with a Hey over there. I think so. I even think it's got a Yud as well. You have a Chumash over there? Yeah? Chumash, yeah, that's good. I think so. And Rashi in the name of Chazal, and the Targum Yonason says that Shiloh means Mashiach. That means Yehuda will remain the one who is in position of authority all the way till Mashiach comes. I presume it was, and then Mashiach will take over, and he's also from Yehuda. It doesn't mean to say that Mashiach won't be from Yehuda, but that's the expression. Ad ki yavo Shiloh. Let's see how it's translated here. I once gave a talk on Shiloh because there was a group of guys came from America and they were going from here to Shiloh, to the town of Shiloh to visit it. So they asked me to speak to them before they go. So I spoke about this topic, about Shiloh, the way it's usually spelt. Here it goes. Ad ki yavo Shiloh, yes, Shin Yud Lamed He. Shin Yud Lamed He. It's not the way it's usually spelled. How's it translated? Here just say, until Shiloh shall arrive. Who's Shiloh? So the Targum says Mashiach. Why does Shiloh relate to Mashiach? Because Shiloh means that which is his. She is like a share, lo, it's his. Of course, that depends how you spell it with a hey or a vav, right? But lo with a vav means it's his. It's his, meaning everything's his. If he's the king, then everything's his. So he's the one who everything belongs to, except God, of course, right? But God doesn't come. As a human being, the only one who everything belongs to him is God, is the Mashiach.
So, how does
Melech HaMashiach, Rashi says. How does that relate to the town called Shiloh? Obvious idea. Okay, I just thought I'd tell you. All right. Okay. Then it says it very straight. V'hana'ar na'ar.
Again, referring to Shaul.
Shmuel. Presumably it's talking about to Shmuel, right? Shmuel is the na'ar. Okay. Now he's a bit older than he was before. Now he's already 2. Okay. Before he was a baby, right? Right. And the lad, na'ar. So that's a verb. The lad ladded. Now you can't say that in English, but you can in Hebrew. It's a verb to be a lad. The lad was a lad.
Why does it make it a verb to underline?
Well, I think it's because it says na'ar. It doesn't say v'na'ar and the lad was a na'ar. Like shomar. Shomar is a verb. Shomar is not a noun. A na'ar is a noun, meaning the lad. No'ar. Like shomar. It's a comet. Underneath the nun is a comet, not a pattern.
Doesn't it make the same sound as the...
Only if you speak Ivrit, not if you speak Hebrew. Israelis don't differentiate between the two. Sephardim have a very weak differentiation. I don't know what it is, but they claim there's a differentiation.
Yeah, kamat katan and kamat.
No, between a kamat katan and a tzata.
Oh, kamat is like...
Israelis don't.
No, there's no difference.
You say there's no difference. Sephardim claim there is a difference.
There's a slight difference.
Oh, you see, he says there's a slight difference, and I don't hear the difference.
There's a slight difference between a kamatz and a pata.
So tell me, how would you say that? If it's a kamatz, how would you say it's a pata?
I don't do the difference. Sorry.
Oh, actually, every Sephardi will tell you there is a difference.
No. I think it's vehanaha na'ar. Like it's a bit of a difference.
You see what the difference?
No instead of na.
Instead of an ah. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, that's the way Ashkenazim say na'ar, no'ar. Ashkenazim would say difference. Na'ar, no'ar. It's a complete difference. One's na, one's no. Right? That's what Ashkenazim do. It's a very pronounced difference. Sephardim do a very slight difference. I don't hear it. Whatever. Like, for example, the name of God. Right? So Ashkenazim say noi, ado, noi. Right?
Yeah.
Sephardim say ado, nai. Now, that is blasphemy because ado, nai means my masters in the plural. Ado, noi means my master. Nai means my masters. So if you say it like that, it's really wrong. But Sephardim claim there is a difference. So they're not saying it as a pater, they're saying with a comment. But anyway, whatever, there definitely is a difference, even if it's pronounced almost the same. Like just like Ashkenazim don't pronounce the difference between a ches and a chof, or an aleph and an ayin. But we know it's not like Ashkenazim think there's no difference. It's just we've lost the ability to make the difference. But we acknowledge that there must be a difference. Okay, we just know what it is. Okay.
I'll try to say noi then when saying Hashem's name because I don't want to blaspheme.
Yeah, if you're an Ashkenazi, then you have to do that. Sephardim are like. Whatever. Okay.
But I like saying the Sephardi because I like saying Ivrit even when I pray because I want to learn Ivrit.
Right,
you know what I mean?
That's what's confusing. Anyway, Noar, and the young lad acted like a young lad. But it doesn't say what he did. Doesn't mean he jumped around on the Mizbeach, he was pulling Kohanim's payers. What was he doing? It's a bit strange. He was he was a little kid, right? He's only 2, and he's come to the temple with his mother, and he's acting up. That's what it sounds like. But it doesn't say what he did. It says, let's leave it at that at the moment. It doesn't say what he did. Let's go. Vayishchatu es hapar, and they slaughtered the bull. At the moment, I just want to raise problems because this is a very, very interesting midrash which answers all these problems, which is what midrashim do, right? They're very inventive midrashim. They're very cute, and sometimes they're very nice to tell kids, but they seem to be like totally not part of the story, right? Often the midrash just seems to be made up. I'm not suggesting they are, but they seem from the text to have no indication. But you'll appreciate how a midrash comes to answer so many questions on the text, which if you don't use the midrash, you have this one and answer this way, and this one answer this way. What does it mean he was a lad? What did he do? There's no reference. Just wants you to know he played up. He messed around. He drew graffiti on the mizbeach. It doesn't say what he did. It's absolutely so it's silly. It's silly in a story to give me information and not tell me what he did if it doesn't add to the story.
Is it like he's saying like he was a kid being a kid? Like is that?
Yeah, but what would he do? We don't know. It's not important. Okay, exactly, carry on. But Yish had two, and they slaughtered the bull. And it's also problematic because a minute ago it says there were 3 of them. Right? And they slaughtered the bull. Okay, so it means one of the 3. The first one of the 3. Fine. Okay. And then Vayaviu es hanar al Eli. And they brought the lad to Eli. That's very nice. But how does that relate to slaughtering the par? I mean, yes, they wanted to bring the lad to Eli because they want to introduce him. That's the point. But it's nothing to do with slaughtering the par. Why you put those 2 things together? I would have said Vayishchot Tzapar, full stop, as a new sentence. Vayiveos Esanar, which is another sentence. Or bring that as the beginning of the next sentence. Vataymer, and she said, what did she say? She wants to introduce her son to Eli, and she says, Be Adoni. Be Adoni means please, my master. Please.
Where's please?
Be. The word be is please. What do you think it means, be?
I don't know. I knew was please.
Yeah, it does mean that as well. Correct. No, nun aleph can mean please. Yeah, but I think be here means it's a request. Chei nafshecha. Chei nafshe means as your soul lives. Chei is like chayim. Nefesh is your soul. Nafshecha, as your soul lives. It's really a very strong plea. Now, we don't know why she's making a strong plea. Like something happened? Did she have to beg? She's begging, please, but on your life. Like, what's going on?